Okay. Oh, hey. Hey guys. Hey everyone. How y'all doing today? Welcome back to the video. My video. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my YouTube. And yeah. To be honest, I didn't really start with a plan on exactly what I'm doing today. But I know what we are continuing. And that is the continuation of Maverick's F-14 Tomcat, but also at the same time I am building Tamiya's F-14A Tomcat. So where did we leave off? Well, I think last time we left off was putting the wing structure in on the Tamiya kit, and that is right here. I just kind of screwed it all up. But it's not lined up. There we go. So here we have the I don't know what you want to call these, the base of the wings that are going to be inserted into the main parts, and that will basically be like the last part. Much different than how they do it on the Revell kit. But that's okay. People are allowed to be different, but you know, it's like they say, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. Right? And I think I'm going to be getting to that point on the Revell kit, because on the Revell kit we've put the seats in the cockpit, and that's that right there. So the Revell cockpit is basically done. Pretty much, right? Unlike the Tamiya cockpit, which still has the seats to go in, and that part that goes across there, like on here, it's actually molded as part of the fuselage. The Tamiya, of course, is a separate piece, like Tamiya does that a lot. And so, yeah, so that's done. So the next step on the Revell kit was to put the intake on. So we're going to do that today and put on this. Now what I've gone ahead and done is I've started it already. So I've got it done on one side, okay, and put the intake fan there on the other side, but I haven't put the actual intake on yet because, well, I wanted to let you guys see how it's done and the challenges. So as I decided in the last video, what was that, part 2? I think that's part 2. I'm going to be making the Revell kit with the landing gear raised and the Tamiya kit with the landing gear lower. Okay, so as you can see, I was originally going to have the landing gear down on the Revell kit, but then I decided let's do it the opposite. Let's do something different, and we'll put it closed. And I had mentioned that a lot of kits these days, they don't seem to be really designed to be put together with the landing gear raised. And so in doing so, they don't necessarily make all the landing gear bay doors fit properly. At least that's what I've noticed. And of course, that's the case with the Revell kit. I'll try and show you on this camera if it will focus. This camera is a really awesome camera, but it does not like to focus for me automatically. Okay, so there you go. So there's the front landing gear bay doors, and that dark gray around there, was white putty, and I just painted in some dark gray around it. It looks kind of like crap because there's such huge gaps in between those panels. It just can't be avoided. That's the way it is, because they didn't design that thing to be closed. And we got this similar thing going on right here all the way around with the rear landing gear bays doors. It doesn't quite line up. It sticks out, there's gaps, it overlaps, and kind of looks like crap. And I'll flip this around and you can see on this side it's even worse. Now, I'm not a sculptor by any means. There's not really much I can do myself to fix that. So I am going to recommend to you guys, if you want to build this kit, don't build it with the landing gear up. Now the reason why I've just left this and I haven't even tried to really fix this gap and fitment issues is this plane's going to be displayed like this. It's going to be kind of low down, and so you're not really going to see that unless you actually pick the thing up and look underneath. You're not really going to see that, and so I'm really not too concerned about it. I don't really care. I have my nice Tamiya kit anyway, which is the main thing. And depending on how frustrated I get this kit might not even stay together or even be finished. I don't know. So, landing gear bay, or not landing gear bay, the intake. I've already glued it on the one side. And as you might be able to see, if you take a look at that line there, that does not fit very flush at all. And there's nothing I can do because it literally glues onto this lip, and so unless I want to carve that lip out, and even there's another lip there that right here that it rests against, and I'd have to do a lot of shaving and trimming to trim that away, to get that to be able to squeeze together close enough to make it actually flush. Again, it's underneath, it's going to be like this. I really don't care. Now just for comparison's sake, let's take the Tamiya kit and let's grab one of their intake ones and let's put this on here. This is going to go something like in this area somehow. Kind of. There we go. Now look how beautifully that just lines up on there. There's no weird gaps. That's going to be nice and flush. On this edge all along here is nice and crisp lines, no gaps, no overhangs. Like, I'm sorry, Revell, you need to hang out with Tamiya a little bit and learn something from them. That being said, let's put this under here because we are going to put the intake on the other side of the Revell kit. So this one appears to fit a little bit better here, although not much. And then with this front edge, you have to actually kind of push it up to get it to fit flush with the fuselage, and then it kind of sits by itself just because of the tension being caused by it running along in there. So it sits okay. This side sits a little bit better actually. So I press down on it, it sits it actually is looking much better. Anyway, let's get some glue and let's make it permanent. So let's go along here first. That nice and glued tight. So I've been thinking about it. The fact that this is such a dark gray color in comparison to the Tamiya. And I am painting the Tamiya this color, which is a little bit lighter than the Revell color there. Basically, these planes, for the most part, especially, I'll show you on the Tamiya has like a color paint guide separate than the instructions. They give you this nice big full color sheet depending on the different variations that you want to build it. So what they show here is a much lighter gray on the bottom than on the sides and top. Okay, and that's why I'm going to be painting it in this color. Now, what they're actually calling for here is the color they want you to use is AS16 for the top, and they actually want for the bottom is, where was it here? TS27. TS27 is white. I don't want to do it white. So basically, because they're asking for that, now I looked it up online because I actually don't have an AS16 color. So my plan is to go over to the hobby store in a little bit and see if they've got one in stock. But I have a feeling, based on what I looked online, and it's just AS16 is light gray, and I have a feeling it's going to match this color. So if I go and paint it, I'm basically just painting it the same color as this. So what I was thinking of maybe leaving, I don't want to paint it white on the bottom, because there's nowhere in the movie is that plane white on the bottom. It's not. So that being said, I'm thinking of leaving it this color on the bottom, and maybe I'll pick up the AS16. I'll see if it matches, and if it does, then I'm actually getting to paint the bottom as well in this color again, even though it's already here. But I don't know if you can tell, I went and just spray painted the white in here because I figured I'd be painting the bottom this color, and now I've decided that I'm not doing the whole thing in that color. I'm going to do the bottom in the lighter gray like it's supposed to be. But now I've got this little problem of overspray on here, which I've sanded some of it away and then had to re-scribe the panel lines that are there. But I still have some white in the cracks and stuff like that, so it needs to be painted. Might wonder why this does look a little bit different here, because I've already installed this little piece that goes in here like this, and I've already put in the landing gear bait walls on one side, but not on this side yet. So extra steps to build that are not present in the Revell kit. Anyway, so that's enough about that. So I'm going to be going to the hobby store later today to see if they've got the AS16. Hopefully they do. Unfortunately, their supply on Tamiya paint runs low and runs out quite often, and it's just something I cannot control. And there's another hobby store that's close. It's fairly close, not as close as the one I plan on going to today. And yeah, they generally have more stock, but they're a little bit further drive, so I don't really want to go there today if I don't have to. And I'm going to be going into Vancouver tomorrow anyway, so maybe if I have to, I can stop there tomorrow. Okay, anyway, so this is now done. That part's done. The next step on the Revell kit is actually putting the wings on there and then putting the top half on. So here's our challenge today. Oh, another comparison I wanted to do with you guys was the jet thrusters, the jet engine tips, okay, and the comparison between the two. So here's our Revell, okay, and we have our Tamiya, and that's going to line up kind of like that. Okay, now I've gone ahead and I've already glued this back piece on. You might be able to see this line that I'm following with my finger here. These are actually two pieces that go together. Okay, whereas obviously the Revell kit, it's one big molded piece. The Tamiya kit, of course, is two pieces. So I've already done that. Now, so we line these up, kind of similar. You notice these end pieces here, molded here on the Revell kit, and on the Tamiya kit, they are separate. I've already painted these in the colors that they're going to be, including this little part that sticks out. This is basically going to go like that on there, just like that, and that will then line up here. So, comparison. We have, focus please, focus please, doink. Okay, see these little lines that are all scribed in all around here, and all of that detail, and all those lines that are going around on that. Okay, how's the Revell one look? The Revell has absolutely no detail on it whatsoever, other than that one line that you can follow down there, and that's it. Let's turn this around. Okay, there's our comparison of our tips. Okay, on the plane itself, that's these things. Okay, but then you have the tips. Now, here's the Revell one. Okay, and as I've already painted it, as I've already mentioned, and all that's going to do is it's going to slide into here, doink, like that, and we have our tip. Okay, stupid camera focus, for Pete's sake. Okay, and now the Tamiya kit comes with, that's a good catch, comes with two. You get to choose whether you're going to have the open one, okay, or the closed tip. Okay, there's our two. Okay, so I tried to look online and determine at what point in the like throttle position does the thing do that, and it's kind of random from what I've been able to determine at what point it actually goes and does that cone in the afterburner thing. But anyway, I am going to be using these ones on the kit. This one I painted simply to do a comparison between it and the Revell. Okay, so you see these lines that are on the silvery part? I actually scribed those in because they were almost non-existent on the Revell kit. So that was basically smooth, and then it had those tiny little bits of detail. And there's the comparison with the Tamiya one. The Tamiya one has all those lines and all that detail that the Revell just doesn't have. And it's really sad. And I actually contemplated cutting this off of the Revell kit and putting these on so that the Revell kit at least would have some detail on it. But in some little trial fitting that I did, just putting this together like so, and taking that and putting it on here, it's actually too big. It's a millimeter too big. It's just a millimeter too big and would not line up and wouldn't look proper. I mean, it would look better just at a glance, but it wouldn't fit properly. And this fits nice and flush and everything, and that's the way this one is. And it's got that extra detail because I put those panel lines in there, or scribed lines. Now, I'm not the best at scribing, and so if I were to try and just do my own lines going across on there, I know I'd make them crooked. I do have some scribing tape. I could, if I really wanted to get into it and really give that a try, I could. But I don't want to bother doing that. Okay, so what are we doing? We're doing the wings. We gotta put these wings on. So I have them already assembled. They're in the box here somewhere. There's one, and here's the other one. Okay, so these guys, they got these holes in these pegs. Now, I remember when I was trying to do this the first time, it was a nightmare just to line it up on those pegs. Never mind actually assembling the thing. Look at that, first try. Okay, and that's how it goes together, just like that. And that's how the Revell kit goes together. So now just look what happens here as I'm trying to get this lined up. Okay, so I've got to put the top on now. Let's just hold those like that, and let's get the top, and it falls apart. Back on there. Come on, find the hole. There we go. Okay. Let's try balancing the wings, maybe. You go, oh, there's another problem, is this has to slide underneath. Don't do that. It's not really lined up. Close, but not quite. Not lined up on the nose pegs. Lined up at the back. Okay, so what I can do now that it's kind of together is lay it on its top, and I'll get a couple of strips of tape to help hold it while I get it lined up, because it's a pain. Now, the problem with this tape is it doesn't like to stick very well once it's been left for a long time. Okay, we are lined up back here, so let's do this. Okay, and I'm kind of lined up there, so let's do that. last thing I want to do is have this thing open up enough that the wings come out of it. But as you can see, my nose is not lined up. So I need to figure out why this is. It's not even lining up with the pegs. See, the peg is not lining up with the hole. Like at all. So I might wind up having to just cut the peg off and then just glue and hold it. Because it is kind of lining up everywhere else, it's just not lining up there. So I'm going to start at the back and work my way towards the front with the glue. And I'm going to utilize my clips as much as I can. I might even use a little rubber band on the nose. So let's try that. So that doesn't really help. Okay, let's get the scissors out of here. Don't need these. Glue. Now, this is the big thing, the biggest difference between these two kits is the fitment, right? The Revell kit just doesn't have that precise fit that the Tamiya kit does. I don't know if Revell just took an old mold from the 80s or 90s and just, you know, said, hey, they're doing a Maverick movie, and so we want a resurgence in the popularity of Top Gun. Let's make a kit. Because I don't remember seeing this kit around, you know, years and years ago when Top Gun was huge, right? But that being said, maybe I was more into cars back then than I was into planes. I don't know, Top Gun was really cool and everything, but okay, so it feels like the back is good. What I want to do is put a nice big strip of tape across there just to keep it down. Keep it under control a little bit as I start working towards the front. So now, I'd like, if I had clamps that were bigger but didn't really hold that tight, I would prefer to clamp it, but I don't have that option right now, so okay. So I'm going to move this tape so that I can glue in that crack. And hopefully not knock my glue on the floor at the same time. I have a feeling I'm going to be needing more pieces of tape to hold that as I go along. So let's get prepared. Being prepared, well, that's better than not being prepared, right? Okay, now we're ready. Okay, I'll hold that and open the glue again, and then okay, I now know that I am going to be painting this model. This Revell can't even put their panels, line up their pegs and holes properly. Now at the front of this, I am going to use a clamp because it just doesn't want to line up, or it just wants to stay separated. So okay, now we'll move on to this side. Once again, let's remove this tape so that I can get in there with the glue. This side does fit a little bit better. I'm not feeling as much resistance as I try and squeeze it together. Okay, put a little bit more glue under there. All right, now this, sorry about that, now this difficult part with the nose. That peg just is not lining up with the hole, so I am going to stick my knife in there and trim that away. Just, it's a millimeter off, and just doesn't want to work. Now I'm not sure why it doesn't want to go together. I can't see anything inside that's really causing an issue, but it just doesn't want to close. I suspect it's got something to do with the molding of the landing gear pod and the underneath of the cockpit, that it's just no good. You know, one of them has been built too big, and they are colliding. So that being said, I have a couple of options. You could see, even the rubber band is not strong enough to close that gap. Even putting the rubber band on there is not good enough. And I do have a great big clamp, this great big guy, that I could just, that's definitely strong enough, but it's only on that one little spot. So I will have to glue it, run a strip of tape around it, hold it, glue it, strip of tape, and just do it that way. So let's put this, close that up. These clamps are going to be no good to me. Neither is that rubber band. Okay. Okay, now I got 3 strips of tape. This is probably safe enough to get rid of these, especially since I'm about to squeeze the heck out of that. I don't need that much pressure here. It's not so bad. Still do need quite a bit though. Okay, so now that's being held together better than it was. Let's put some glue in that spot. So I have to kind of glue here, squeeze, glue, squeeze, glue, squeeze, glue, that kind of thing. That's basically the plan. Now, you might be wondering, well, why don't you just, instead of really trying to close that gap so much, why not just you know, glue it a little bit, use a thicker glue or something like that, and then, you know, fill in the gap with some putty. And you know what? You'd be right. That would be an option. I could, in theory, do that. But at the same time, I am trying to resist painting this a whole lot. I don't want to totally change the color of this plane if I can help it. I might have to anyway. I might not have a choice. Now at this point, I'm just kind of doing one side. Really holding it tight. Just caved in my landing bay door because I put my thumb in the wrong spot and I pushed the landing bay door in with my thumb. So that's made me a little bit upset. Okay, so I've got this side nice and tight. This side, however, is not. Now, of course, we have that extra piece that needs to be glued in there. So I actually want to add a little bit of glue back here. Go. See, if I'm going to be using putty to fill in gaps, then I might as well paint this thing the proper color. You see the size of that gap on this side. That's not just because it's indented there. You see that indent, right? It's not just because of that. It actually is physically, it should be like this, right? But there's nothing for it to actually just to glue, because these two pieces are literally just kind of like just barely touching, like just like that. And so it's just a little corner that would be connecting, and there's no really anything for the glue to hold on to. So I'm going to put that piece on first on the side, and that is number 25 right there. So let's find 25. And I think 25, that was actually on that section that had all those parts that are not going to be used on this. It's on here, on this one, with all these weird things that no idea what the fuck they are. So we want 25. Oh yeah, I marked this one off. Okay, so let's get this on there, out of here. Okay, the rest of this is garbage, basically. I have my camera lined up. Can you even see me doing this? Okay. A little bit of extra flashing on this one. Alright. So, this is going to go on the side right there. So I will line it up with this bottom piece and glue it on. And even this is not a great fit. It's just, I don't know. It's like Revell made this kit and was just basically like, yeah, good enough. So that's kind of the way that's going. So now it'll be a lot easier. I'm going to let that sit for a minute or two. We'll let that sit just to cure a little bit before I start really squeezing on that to get it all lined up. So let's put this aside, and we're going to switch over to the Tamiya kit for a bit, for a few minutes, because we got to continue on stuff on the Tamiya so that I can keep up, because the Tamiya has so much more involved. I'm already so much farther along in the Revell kit than the Tamiya, just with that. So if we go back to this page on the Tamiya kit, and sit there for a minute, and so we have this part here. It's basically the roof of the intake, and that's going to go on right there. And you see, you'll be able to see the little piston through the top. when you actually look down into it. So glue there, that'll hold it, and I can put a little bit more glue through this side to make sure it stays put. Like it's supposed to. And that's it. So now we've got those two sides. Now I need to build my little walls. There was a couple of references in the instructions here. Right here, wanting you to trim away at these two little pieces that stick out on the edge here. But that test fit the top piece, and it lines up with the molding in the top here, so I don't know why they want you to trim those away, because it fits perfectly. And you line this up and you got it in there, it fits and lines up perfectly there, so I don't know why they want you to trim it away. I see no reason to. Already put these fins on, which I didn't have to put on. They were molded on the Revell kit. These are separate pieces on the Tamiya. Those are on, and that makes this page done. I've put these little pieces in there, just a couple of extra pieces I get glued in there. Done. They want me to trim away a little detail here for really no reason at all. They don't explain why. It's just a little detail bump. Why they want me to trim it away, I don't know. I don't see any reason to. So let's move on to the landing gear bay. So we go over to our landing gear tree, which is over here. And we have our walls to build. Having already done this, I know exactly what pieces I need. And that's the 4 walls. Okay. Now these guys are kind of neat in how they get put together, and it's just a matter of getting them aligned right for each side. So this goes, it's going to go here, and then this piece goes there, like do I have that right? This piece is going to go here. It's kind of funny that they show it almost upside down. Go, and then this is going to slide into that. So, and then this guy is going to sit like that. So, kind of have to glue it a little bit together just to keep them together while you're lining everything up. Which is fine, because if you wind up having to move it a little bit while you're assembling it, it's not a big deal. is a little bit forgiving in that regard when you're trying to line it all up to go together on here. And then our fourth wall, which you don't want to break, goes in right there. And with them sitting like that, now I can kind of manipulate it a little bit and then add some glue on those lines. I realize my camera, I'm working with this and I'm not even, can't even see on this camera. Let's see if I can fix that. I think that's better, eh? Okay. That about does it. And so we have our walls built for the landing bay now on both sides. That's done. And see, the next step is to put the two top halves of the fuselage together and then put our two pieces together. Now that's done. Oh, I'll have to put in the piece for the rear elevator. What is that number? B8. Which one was B? It's G. B was the big one, wasn't it? Yes, it was. That's this guy here. And I'm not even going to bother cutting it off because it's kind of hidden and it just goes into this little slot. But before you put that in, you have to put in a pulley cap. Put in a pulley cap in there. Just like that. And then it goes down into here. Not like that. Like this. And it just sits in there. And it lines up with that hole so that you can put that peg in through there. I'll do it on this side. You put that in through there. Just kind of wiggle it a little bit and it fits tight. And now you can display this thing and you can actually rotate that however you like. Is again a neat little bit of engineering that Tamiya has done for us. Okay, now we put our two halves together, and like I was saying earlier, these line up very nice. And I almost don't even need tape. Now you can see the walls of the landing gear bays are all assembled and looks nice and detailed in there. So, let's put some glue on there. I just have to take my glasses off so I can see more precisely where I'm gluing. Moving forward, the difference in the precision in the fit between the Tamiya and the Revell is just so incredible. And how it just like almost zero gaps. Don't have to use clamps to hold it together while the glue sets. It's just fitting nice and flush and perfect. I'm just adding more and more glue as I go along just to make sure I don't have any gaps later on as I continue assembling this thing. Make sure these still work. Yep, no problem at all. And there we have it. Our two halves together on the Tamiya kit. And hopefully I didn't forget on putting anything on the inside, because that would really suck. So there's not much worse than actually having to redo it or rip everything apart and then re-glue it. That really sucks. Anyway, so that concludes this page. Looks like I do have a little bit of trim that I forgot to clean away here. Or maybe I just didn't clean it up good enough. Because then I can actually squeeze that together a little bit and actually glue that. that for a minute. Let's take a look at the next page. Oh yes, next page is our intakes. Come on. Okay. So I've already done this for one side. Okay. So we have here the intake with our actual intake fan. I don't know if you'll be able to see inside there at all. Maybe on this camera, if it will focus. It won't focus on its own, but trust me, the fan's in there. That's probably good enough. Okay. So, the first thing we need to assemble are the two halves. That's these. Okay, so this and this, that's not garbage. These two go together just like so, and of course I just tighten the glue. Now you could clean up the little nub marks if you want on there. It's little nub marks from where I trimmed it off the sprue, but you don't really have to. It's not going to really affect the way it fits in there at all. The other thing we need is the other intake fan right here. I think this tree is done. Yep, K is done. And this just sits in the end there, just like that. So that's that piece assembled, and that's going to sit inside here. And it only goes one way. It sits just like that. And like I said, I didn't have to trim any of the nubs off. It just fits all on its own. It doesn't interfere with anything. So I just put a little bit of glue around there, and that's done and done. Just like that. So now I got both sides done. Now they want me to put a couple of little railing pieces right at the very bottom here and paint them silver, but I'm going to do that last because, well, there's painting to be done that's required, that's spray painting, and these little pieces here being painted silver, that's something I'd have to try and mask off later, so I'm just going to hold off until later. Now we put them on the plane. Flip. Now, as I showed you earlier, this fit is actually quite beautiful. Once you get this lined up, it fits in there so nice. I just hope the other side fits the same. Because you know what it's like, one side fits really perfect, and then you kind of get a sense of false hope that the other side's the same. Oh, does it? Now, the other side. Just kind of, okay, if you just want to drop in there with no hesitation and not give me any problems, I'm happy with that. I'm not going to complain, that's for sure. Okay, so those are in, and we have these two little caps that go and cover this little section. I'm not sure why Tamiya didn't just make that one piece, like go right to the end. They could have easily just had to go right to the very edge, put a panel line through there if they really wanted it to show as a distinct thing. Not sure, but that's what they did. So 2 extra pieces to have to put on. No big deal though. So after I get these assembled, go back to the Revell kit. Get the nose glued up, and then we'll call it a day. So these only go one way, and they are left and right specific. It's just a matter of determining which one is which. I think that's the way it goes. So it doesn't fit that way, it doesn't fit that way. So I think this is what we got for this one. Yeah. Okay. So put a little bit of pressure just to hold it in place. Okay, there's that one. Kind of see my overspray evident on there now. More so on this side. So I am definitely going to be painting the bottom half of this plane, whatever color, whether it's going to be the lighter gray or the darker gray. You can see my overspray, that definite line there. Okay. So now the underneath of our fuselage is nice and together and done. Nice and assembled. Wings still work? Yes, they do. Alright, so this can be set aside while we go back to this bird. Now, we're going to work on this side, get that nose together. So I should be able to just squeeze the crap out of that and have it line up. I should be able to. Whether that's actually the case, I don't know. It's going to take a lot of pressure, but I can do it. Let's put this aside. Let's get another piece of tape ready to go. this open. Squeeze the crap out of it. Hopefully that holds it when I let it go. It's not. More glue. Let's cut off another piece here, here. The more things I have squeezing or holding it, the better. Maybe put a little bit more glue on the inside to help hold it. I really want to eliminate the possibility of having to put putty through there. I still might wind up having to. Once I take all this tape off, it might just open up again. I don't know. But that's what we're going to call for today. And that's part 3. So, by the time you see me again, this plane might be a whole different color. I'll find out. So I'm going to go look for that AS16 and we're going to see what color that is and see how it matches. And if it is just a match for this color, then I might just wind up painting them both with this on the top, and then have the underneath the AS16 as the lighter color. That's, I think I'm probably going to be leaning more towards that, but I don't know for sure until I actually get that. So I want to thank you guys for watching. You guys who subscribe on my YouTube, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Helping me grow my YouTube channel. That is really cool. Thanks so much, guys. If you haven't checked me out on Twitch, I'm going to put links down below in the comment section. You can check me out on Twitch and you can watch me live. And you could actually type in the chat and it'll appear up there and I can answer your questions. You can tell me what I'm doing wrong or all that kind of stuff. Say, hey, you stupid idiot, how come you're doing it that way when you can be doing it this way? Whatever. Feedback, you know? That's how people grow and learn. Anyway, so again, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out. Yeah, so I'm going to try and maybe continue this tomorrow. I don't know for sure. We'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, real life happens, and I don't always get to do this stuff. And I don't get to do this as often as I would like to, but that's just the way it is. That's life, right? Anyway, thanks again, guys. And yeah, so like I said, like, subscribe, hit the little bell notification, and you get notified whenever I put up a new video. All that good stuff. Anyway, guys, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.